Dear distinguished delegates, actors, partners, and speakers, we are happy to welcome you at the international session Future is Asian, on site of Sakhalin Regional Skills Competition. Sakhalin region is an Asian part of Russia, and it's a very important partner for Asian-Pacific cooperation. It's traditional for us to gather together at the competition venues to share best practices and get inspired for our joint capacity buildings. It's a pity that we are not in the same room today. However, we are in the same intention to improve our education system for Asian growth. Today, we are going to discuss key trends of Asian skills development and get key findings and recommendations from respectful experts. And now, we are opening our session by welcome words from Sakhalin region governor Валерий Римаренко.
Дорогие друзья, приветствую вас на международной онлайн-сессии «Сахалин» для стран АТР. Она объединила представителей более 20 стран-участниц движения WorldSkills Азия. И мы рады познакомить вас с нашим регионом. Сегодня Сахалинская область – это территория прорывных проектов. Мы поставили амбициозные задачи в сфере промышленности, транспорта, логистики, сельского хозяйства, туризма. Поэтому тема подготовки кадров приобретает для нас особое значение. Чтобы совершить прорыв в экономике, необходимы специалисты мирового уровня. Такую же высокую планку подготовки кадров задает движение «Молодые профессионалы». Мы участвуем в нем уже 6-й год и за это время сделали серьезный шаг вперед. Провели в Сахалинской области финал национального чемпионата WorldSkills. Обновили базу учебных заведений. Открыли новые центры опережающей профессиональной подготовки. Это позволило повысить престиж рабочих профессий и создать новые возможности для сахалинской молодежи. И мы продолжаем делать все, чтобы наши ребята оставались в родном регионе и могли реализовать себя в любимом деле. При этом мы открыты к международному сотрудничеству и готовы принимать лучшие мировые практики. Уверен, эта конференция станет важной площадкой для обмена опытом. Желаю всем продуктивной работы. Вперед! Удачи!
The session is open, and few words about session program. 2020 become a trigger year for all of us. Within the challenges, we get new opportunities to put education system on new and positive paths, to upgrade and accelerate digital transformation. And now we need to review our action plans, taking into account long strategies and new post-COVID reality, global solution and local practices. Asia is playing key role for the world, as Asia is having huge workable human population. Asian countries' skills policy covers more than 4.5 billion of population, and it's huge responsibility for decision makers and all actors to provide high qualified skills training. Here with us today in the session we have speakers from international organizations, leaders from national skills organizations, and address from global corporation. And let me introduce speakers who are with us today. Abbas Karimi, Research and Planning Deputy ITC Iran and Head of Iran UNEVOC Center. Hello, Abbas. Gabriel Bardada, Skills and Employability Specialist, Descent Work from Team for South Asia from International Labour Organization. Xian Sui, Education Specialist from Asian Development Bank. Dr. Zheng, Secretary General of Samsung Skills, Vice President of Samsung Skills Electronics. Ali Al-Marazuki, President of Emirates Skills. Zulia Darsong, Acting Deputy Director General, Department of Skills Development, Ministry of Human Resources, Malaysia. And Robert Urazov, Director General of Skills Development Agency, WorldSkills Russia. And now, I would like to give a word to Abbas Karimi to share his experience as head of UNEVOC Center. Abbas, you have been experienced to take part in strategy development. You have been experienced already to implement important recommendations from the strategy. Could you please share with us your experience? Abbas, floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. good morning, and maybe good times. Say we are here to talk about the future and some challenges for in Asian countries, and I want to talk about more in the how we develop the midterm strategy for the UNEVOC as an international center for technical and vocational education and training. So next, please. In this network are 224 TVET institutes from about 150 countries, and we are 64 TVET institutes from the 36 Asian countries. A huge and big network, especially in the field of TVET. Next, please. First, I want to review how the strategy is developed, and then we go to the promising and good practices in our cluster. Up to now, we had 3 midterm strategy that all are focused on sustainable development goals in the UNESCO United Nations. And all the regional changes will be reviewed. The TVET documents, all literature will be reviewed. The questionnaire will be prepared, and the different panels from different countries and specialists in the headquarters in Bonn will be together and provide the document for the strategy. After refining, it will be published in all over the countries and clusters. For example, the cluster Asia Pacific. Next, please. As I explained, we focus on SDGs. Number 4, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all is our focus in TVET, in UNEVOC network. Next. In all SDGs, 5 special point: peace, planet, people, prosperity, and partnership is important. But the most important key is partnership, is networking, to exchange our experiences, our best practices. Next, please. In midterm strategy development, we follow all the trends, changes, environmental, social, political, and economic trends. But what is the central stage in the region, in the world, is technical and vocational education and training, TVET. Yes, next, please. Number 2 strategy that we are beyond it for 2018 to 20, 5 policies: digitalization for Industry 4, migration, new qualification, entrepreneurship, and greening TVET was very important. But next, please. For next 3 years strategy, that it was drafted before 22. I want to, at the first day of the 2020, before the COVID-19, we focused on 6 areas, but during this year, we had, the COVID-19. So one special project was added to the strategies. So we have 6 plus 1. Number 1 and number 6, you can see all the strategies, but the important is all the strategies are a pragmatic approach for comprehensive 3-year plan. They are aligned with the new, trends in all the countries and the TVET institutes, and it was revised for the COVID-19. And then the UNEVOC prepared different technical support for 3 next year for all TVET institutes for their promising practices, activities, and projects, and all are monitoring in ground, not in the air. Next, please. To see what are the important, I want to say one good practices that during the 3 past years happened in different countries, especially in Iran. For example, we had a skill entrepreneurs festivals, youth entrepreneurs club, short film festival on skill training in broadcasting, very huge broadcasting, more than 600 participants, action researchers, greening, though, and the important, I believe, every TVET institute, according to the new strategy, should have a business model canvas. We should have a mind map in our every centers, institute, TVET centers and institutes in all over the world, especially Asia. And Industry 4 is the next practices for trainers. The last, to finalize, I want to say what are approaches in TVET for future. As I mentioned, research is very important because many TVET institutes and say not do, but we should be research-oriented TVET in Asia, like the other European countries. And we should be careful about the, say, climate change, sustainable development, digitalizing and greening. You know, a new, say, version of Industry 4, make all of us to go through digitalizing. And the important point is we should focus on trainers, TVET, trainers and teachers. And the other point is innovation in TVET. And we should control the assurance, the quality of the assurance of the TVET at the same time. And work-based learning are all that we should say careful about, TVET. I want to say here only one word, that all TVET institutes and centers in this, UNEVOC network are supported technically, and the new, strategy document is prepared to be distributed in all the clusters, especially Asia Pacific. Thank you very much for listening to me and taking your time.
Thank you, Abbas. Thank you a lot for your input in our discussion. We hope that your examples and practices will be successfully implemented in national skills, strategies, and plans and actions. And now I would like to continue our session and invite Gabriel Bardada to share his experience and ILO policy on skills development in Asia, and in particular South Asia, in pre-COVID and post-COVID pandemic reality. Gabriel, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alina, and good morning to colleagues and listeners. Good morning and good afternoon, basically. My presentation really focused, now the catchword here is that they say it's a one standard for all. Standard skills development intervention for greater mobility of workers in South Asia. I mean, let me just elaborate on this. Next slide, please. Just to give you a background there, I mean, ILO is a unique agency of the United Nations because it really is the only agency that really has a membership of the three social partners, the government, the workers group, and the employers group, that aims to set labor standards, develop policies, devise programs in promoting decent work for all women and men. So basically, unique, it's a tripartite, and the underlying scheme or strategy is social dialogue. Really, I'll also work with social partners in terms of skills development to strengthen policies aimed at increasing the employability of the workers, the competitiveness of enterprises, in the inclusive growth. Really, this is in line with ILO's strategic objective of creating opportunity for decent work and income. Next slide, please. Yeah, let's just have elaboration on the global trend that have impact in South Asia. I say pre and post COVID pandemic. If you look at these 3 or 4 bullets, the 3 of these 4 bullets are highlighted in the Global Commission for the Future of Work report, which was published in February 2019. That really looks at having technological change and digitalization, climate change, and changing the work environment. The 4th one is really the effect of the post-COVID pandemic, meaning mass exodus of returning migrant workers in South Asia. And I'm sure it's not only happening in South Asia, but basically in other parts of Asia. The first 3 bullets really, what is happening post-COVID is it's really being fast-tracked. Meaning because the report says that this will happen in the next 10 to 15 years. But now with the pandemic, it has been fast-tracked so that the post-COVID pandemic has this trend in terms of the global scenario for employment. Next slide, please. Yeah, basically, let me check. Yeah, with that trend, we really have some sort of the strategic policies in the TVET sector. One is the strengthening of the TVET governance. Basically, most of the developing countries, governance of TVET is a function of the government. Now we're trying to look at a strategy of public-private partnership in terms of governance. So this is one strategy that we need to really inculcate in terms of addressing the impact of that global impact of that post or pre-pandemic. The second one is the implementation of sectoral approach in skills development. If you look at one of the global trend is the climate change, the policy recommendation here is really focused on emerging sectors, provide intervention at the sectoral level. If you look at the sectors that will come in terms of the future of work, one is the climate change and really looking at the care economy if we really consider the post-pandemic scenario. So the strategy here is to really look at implementation of the sectoral approach of skills development with really emphasis on the emerging sectors. The third one is expansion of recognition and validation of skills and competencies. This has really have to be fast-tracked considering that there are lots of returning migrant workers going back to country of origin. The first intervention there is to really come up with a formalization of the competencies gained while they are working in the country of destination. The fourth one is really looking at the development of a flexible learning delivery system. Pre-pandemic, we are used to having a face-to-face delivery. Now, most of the recommendations of the ILO study done during the pandemic is that we need to come up with a flexible learning system, meaning a combination of a face-to-face and an online or a distance learning, whatever is best suited for the sector or for the country. So these are the four policies. Next slide, please. Yeah, just to return back on, really just highlighting my topic on one standards for all. Just look at the statistics for South Asian migrant workers. Pakistan has unskilled 39%, semi-skilled 16%, Nepal has unskilled 74%, Bangladesh has 40%, Sri Lanka has 29%. I just would like to highlight that the issue here is they have different terminologies for, I suspect, not really I suspect, but for a qualification or competence that is almost similar to other countries. Take the example of having a welder certified in Bangladesh. If you look at that, compare that to Southeast Asia, particularly Vietnam, Thailand, or Philippines, the proposition is that they have the same competence, but they're classifying it differently. Under the Bangladesh level, it says semi-skilled, but in the other one, they say it's skilled. So this is what I'm like to drive with these infographics. Each country has its own definition of what skilled workers. Next slide, please. Yeah, another infographic is really looking at the remittances. Look at South Asia. India has 67 billion US dollars for a roughly 25 million Indian workers outside India. That does not count the domestic migration migrating from one state to another. Pakistan has 22, Bangladesh has 13, Sri Lanka has 7.6, Nepal has 6.3. But for the last 3 years, this is stagnant. It's not increasing, but tendency is to go down. Now comes the pandemic. Now, there is a worse scenario now that most of these are returning back to their own countries. So the remittances will really drastically go down. Take the example, again, highlights from East Asia Pacific, China, Philippines, Vietnam. Just to highlight also that Philippines has a remittance of 32.8 billion US dollars for a roughly 2.5 million workers outside the Philippines. So if you look at that, there you can see now the discrepancies of how the workers are being given remuneration from one country of origin going to the country of destination. Next slide, please. So really, looking at that infographics, we're trying to look at how ILO is doing in South Asia. We have what we call as the strengthening of the national qualification frameworks. In Bangladesh, we are unifying the national TVET qualification framework and the higher education qualification frameworks so that we really look at a seamless movement of workers from TVET sector down to the formal education system. This is also happening in Sri Lanka, happening in India, and is planned to be implemented in Afghanistan. The second one is the strengthening of the TVET quality assurance system. Really looking at defining the qualification using one standard. I mean, when you say one standard, the strategy now is adaptation. You don't need to start from zero. You adapt the standards from the EU, you adapt the standards from Australia, New Zealand, or the country of destination, so that you can just have it in your country, a strategy of developing qualifications for your workers. Now, the other point here is that ILO is looking at open and flexible qualification pathways, recognition of prior learning, and credit transfer system. India is working on credit transfer from short-term program to long-term program of TVET, then moving to higher education. So really looking at if I have one certificate in the short term, it has an equivalent if I go to long-term and move to a higher education qualification. Now, the horizontal and vertical mechanism for mobility of workers within the institution in sector and countries. This is really looking at trying to have a qualification framework as a system or as a mechanism to implement this horizontal and vertical mobility of workers and students. Now, in the last intervention that ILO is really looking at is the development of the regional qualification framework. So I'll really elaborate that later. Next slide, please. This is the model that we are really looking in terms of implementing a one standard for all. Look at the first level of blocks or the rectangles, the upper three. These are the standard that I have mentioned earlier. We need the strategy of adaptation. Don't start from zero. Start from adapting what is in the country of destination, what's happening in Europe, what is happening in Southeast Asia. Then use this to provide capacity development for key implementers like trainers, assessors, principals, managers, career guidance officers, and so on. So really looking at, so once they have provide capacity, we in ILO is recommending as a policy, as a matter of policy at the country's level, the competency-based training and assessment, meaning you are being trained for what the worker or what the industry is required. Then the next is the recognition of prior learning. It's really looking at on all aspects of training, assessment, and certification. Recognition, equivalency, and lifelong learning is there. And the whole context is being managed, it has quality management system, so that whoever entered this system will have a greater employability and productivity. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the model that ILO is implementing at the country level. If you have the four matrix, normally we recommend policies on TVET, looking at the governance model and the financing. Bangladesh, we are trying to look at the sector-wide approach in terms of managing the TVET sector, strengthening their capacity in budgeting, monitoring and evaluation, and really involving the industry association in terms of governance of TVET. The second one is the industry-driven skills development. This is one essence of competency-based training and assessment. You train somebody on areas that are required by the industry. So that is really looking at industry-driven. Now, the third quadrant of that model is really looking at seamless transition from skills development to formal education. One good model of this in South Asia is India. They're trying to develop a system of credit transfer from TVET to higher education. And the last quadrant is really a mandate of ILO that really looks at the cross-cutting issues, the equity, access, and basically social protection for the workers. Next slide, please. I would like to close my presentation with this model that the Philippines has implemented in 2012. They called it the Ladderized education, which says, as I have mentioned earlier, that if I have a small qualification, formal qualification in housekeeping, I can go to a work, earn experience, then return back to the formal education, gain credit on that experience, then provide another level of qualification like cooking, front desk, and into the end, gain series of qualification and at the same time have experience in work. And finally, which is our aim with our kids or children, for them to have a baccalaureate degree at the end of specific period. Thank you very much.
Dear Gabriel, thank you very much for sharing with us ILO policy and recommendation. I think that all Asian countries have to think about how to integrate this recommendation and already the practice which you have developed in South Asia in their countries. And now, to continue our session, I would like to invite Xian Sui. Asian Development Bank is an important actor for Asia, and education is one of the priority sectors for Asian Development Bank. And when in 2020 governments grapple with the cost of health and economic recovery, Asian Development Bank addressed that it's vital to protect educational budgets, because investing in reskilling and upskilling of workers who lost jobs during the pandemic will play a critical role in accelerating the economic recovery by getting people back in the labor markets. So, Senyu, could you please share a debut recommendation on far-reaching reforms to build resilient education system amid COVID-19? Senyu, floor is yours.
Okay, good. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. Thanks, Alina, for the introduction. It's really my pleasure to be in this World Skills Forum and share my views on the challenges and opportunities in TVET, as well as skills development in the education sector in Asia. If you go to the next slide. Okay, I think in Asia, although there have been significant improvements in access to education, with about 90% of school-age children attending school, the challenge remains that they learn very little and are poorly prepared to meet the skills needs of the new economy. This learning crisis is further compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic, where we have seen exacerbated school dropouts during COVID-19 timeframe. Even before COVID-19, we have seen skills mismatches between the job market and the human capital supply out of the education system. The COVID-19 has accelerated the digital transformation across all sectors, including the education sector itself, where most of the teachers and students have moved to distance or online learning. In an ADD study done recently to look at the implications of Industry 4.0 on the future of jobs, skills, and training in Southeast Asia, we look at 4 countries in the region. We have seen the 4th industrial revolution will bring both job displacements and job gains. So job tasks will shift from routine physical tasks such as manufacturing and production jobs to higher order tasks such as computer engineering. As you can see on the ladder diagram on the right side, the plus is the jobs that are increasing in computer engineering, business and financial operations. So if in a developed country, in the developing country in particular, is heavily relying on low-cost labor as the comparative advantage, they will start to lose the edge with the advancement of Industry 4.0 and the digital economy. So how can we help the countries to cope with the transition and upskill and reskill the workforce to prepare for the next generation workforce to meet the new market demand? If you look at the next slide. So in this slide, it shows that, so what are the opportunities that can help us address this supply and demand mismatch problem in most of our developing member countries? On the right side, if you look at the job market demand, as an example, what I show in this slide is the top jobs in the emerging IT industry, which is based on a study that we did in Bangladesh 2 years ago in 2019. So we can see there's a dynamic change of jobs year over year, with, for example, graphic designer moving up 5 spaces and an Android developer moving up 3 spaces compared with the previous year. And the big data analytics, and this is the big data and analytics, as well as the artificial intelligence, those type of systems that really help us to tap into the dynamic job market data and understand the real life job demand changes and the underlying skills needed for these jobs. Now, the next question is, how can we prepare our human capital supply with the skills that are increasingly demanded by the market? The digital skills, the entrepreneurial skills, the collaboration skills, the transversal skills, and all the other creativity foundational skills that's necessary. First of all, the technology advancement in micro-credentials and digital badges allows us to accredit any course or skills that an individual has acquired beyond the formal degree programs. The informal skills, as well as the credit courses that are being provided increasingly through different MOOCs platforms and educational, open educational resources. So this is really, I think, in pilot in Indonesia, and what we see in some of the evidences and data showing from the study. Secondly, I think the adaptive learning platforms that significantly improve the learning efficiency based on real-time tracking of students' learning progress data, as we can see in China, such as Squirrel AI, in India, such as products like MindSpark. In Vietnam, there's the pilot through the Arizona State University's Alex platform, what we call the high-touch, high-technology methodology and a platform for adaptive learning. And thirdly, blended learning modality become popular as countries start to try out the what we call the flipped classroom approach to utilize the best of online self-learning, and as well as the offline teacher-facilitated discussions with hands-on practices. Lastly, but not least, talking about the practical experiences, technology advancements in immersive learning technology, such as AI, AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, made it possible to immerse the learners in simulation of near real-life learning environments to scale up the learning experience. And we have seen pilots in India and China as well in these practices. And now move on to the next slide. In this slide, we see here is the ecosystem approach that we have in place to prepare our developing member countries to scale up the capacity in the education and skills development area. So as we know, there are thousands of different interventions and interventions in the education sector that are targeted at solving different specific problems. Now, this holistic ecosystem approach package the interventions into short-term, medium-term, or longer-term plans based on the three phases. What we call three phases. The number one is the response phase. This is the near-term, the short-term phase to, mostly in some countries for urgent reaction in a pandemic situation for distance learning and blended learning. Secondly, the recovery phase is for transitioning into reopening of the schools, as we see in some of the economies start to reopen the schools. And the third phase is what we call rejuvenation phase. It's with sustained recovery and reform and with the opportunity to reimagine the education sector with the technology advance and some of the new Industry 4.0 opportunities. In order to fully utilize the potential of education technology and the advancement in transforming teaching and learning to achieve the objective of what we call the 3 E's: equitable, enduring, and efficient education system. So it is important to holistically look at what we call the important 5 pillars that are critical to the overall education ecosystem. The first pillar is the government pillar, looking at policies, governance, planning activities that ensure quality and equity. Second is the infrastructure pillar, look at improvements in connection devices, and also the gradual advancement to shift the country from low tech to medium tech to high tech type of infrastructure and readiness that can fully utilize the benefits of technology advancement at each stage, and also to reduce the digital divide as opposed to the widened digital divide as we will see from the pandemic situation. Thirdly, the schools and the third pillar is the schools and teachers pillar, looking at school management capabilities as well as teacher quality issues such as digital skills and digital literacy. The fourth dimension of the pillar is the student and caregiver pillar. If you look at the student pillar and the community pillar, it's typically neglected prior to the COVID-19, while the importance of the household or community-based learning outside the school was fully demonstrated as a key component of the overall student learning experience. Lastly, the providers pillar, we'll look at the education system providers, the content providers, and some of the technology providers in the country through either what I think some of the speakers who mentioned the public-private partnership, those opportunities and activities to further flourish the local country provider landscape. In summary, the ecosystem approach, what we're seeing on the slide, will help countries first identify the gaps and opportunities of improvements based on the comprehensive 5-pillar country assessment, and then to prepare the short-term, medium-term, or longer-term plans based on the best practices and recommendations that we have identified and we have piloted within different countries. I think Asia is a country where you see a wide gap of countries with a low income, medium income, high income, hence with a low tech, medium tech, high tech readiness in terms of the digital to prepare for the digital economy. So we have the opportunity to look at different practices across the region, across Asia Pacific, to look at the best practices and the lesson learned. This is the way we can help our countries to step by step achieving the objectives of our human capital development needs, really matching the market demand change ongoing for the Industry 4.0 and for the digital economy. So that's a quick summary of the challenges and also opportunities that we see are emerging from that's going to facing the various countries what we support, and the opportunities how we can help the countries to provide the funding, provide the capacity across the ecosystem approach. Back to you, Alina. That's all for my speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I think it's very important for countries to have this recommendation. This recommendation for them is like navigation, where we have to go and to how we can implement your recommendations. And now we are moving further. The role of employers in skill development system is crucial, and leadership in trades consists of 2 elements: leadership in technologies and leadership in skill talents at workplaces. Samsung supports young professional dreams by promoting skills excellence and trainings. Let us discover Samsung Skills Development Program presented by Dr. Zhang.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dong-Seop Zhang, Secretary General of Samsung Skills. On behalf of Samsung, I'd like to express my gratitude to World Skills Russia for inviting us to share our experiences and activities to promote skills excellence in cooperation with World Skills and its members. And please kindly accept my apology for not being able to attend today's discussion in person. As we head towards the 4th Industrial Revolution, training skilled people is still crucial. Thus, many countries are passionately participating in the World Skills Competition to promote skills excellence and foster a skilled workforce for the future. Samsung has been participating in World Skills movement since 2007. It's because Samsung deeply understands the importance of skilled talent. Samsung firmly believes that manufacturing competitiveness is derived from skilled talent in the workplace. The World Skills Competition has inspired and helped young students to realize their dreams towards skills excellence. Samsung has sponsored World Skills competitions and Korean national skills competitions for over a decade to promote and develop skills excellence for young people both at home and abroad. Samsung has had a strong and steady partnership with World Skills since 2007 and has sponsored for consecutive World Skills competitions as the overall event presenter from World Skills Leipzig 2013 to World Skills Kazan 2019. And between 2007 and 2020, over 1,300 young skilled talents who participated in the Korean National Skills Competition have joined Samsung's workforce. In addition, Samsung has been training potential members for Team Korea at the Samsung Skills Training Center to compete in the World Skills competitions, and these young Korean champions have won many medals as well as medallions for excellence at the competitions. Samsung started its global skills training project in cooperation with its local branches and World Skills members in 2014. 2 members of Team Vietnam had trained for a year at the Samsung Skills Training Center, and one of them won the first ever medal and the other received the medallion for excellence for their country at World Skills Sao Paulo 2015. In 2016, Samsung extended its training project to Team Russia and started a short-term exchange program for training with Russia, Vietnam, and other countries in 2019. Russian and Vietnamese competitors had been trained at the Samsung Skills Training Center for over a year, and they won medals for their countries at World Skills Abu Dhabi 2017 and World Skills Kazan 2019. Samsung is proud to support young champions and enable them to show and enhance their competency at the competition and to be a good role model for young students all over the world. Training young talent from World Skills members was also very meaningful and a valuable experience for Samsung because we gained more confidence to pursue our own effort, promoting and developing skills. I think we are able to make this training program a success because of the close partnership with World Skills members. Samsung will continue to promote skills excellence and foster young skilled talent by supporting the World Skills competitions and training young champions in cooperation with World Skills members. Thank you.
Thank you, Samsung, for supporting skills development across the world and in Asia. And now we are moving to countries' best practice. And I would like to invite Ali Al-Marazuki to share UAE TVET vision and strategies, the future of skills and jobs in UAE, and also share with us, please, your experience of conducting training in pandemic. Ali, floor is yours.
Thank you, Alina. Good morning and good afternoon, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. Really, it gives me great pleasure being in this event. And thank you for World Skills Russia to invite me to be one of the panelists here today and to share with all about our TVET vision and strategy and the way forward. Next slide, please. Okay. So to talk about the Abu Dhabi Center for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, ACTVET. So our vision, as you see here on the screen, it says that TVET to become the first choice for the UAE citizen. Our mission is to regulate the TVET sector in the United Arab Emirates to build a national workforce that is capable of effectively participating in the sustainable development of the country. Now we have our strategic theme. There are 2 things that we focus on. We have to promote lifelong learning. That's very important for us, and to ensure that the employability and career success of TVET graduate is there, so that there is a job after they graduate from our system. Now, our priorities, we have 4 priorities. Increase Emirati students to participate in TVET education. So the mandate of the government is to increase, and so that we can reach almost 40% of the population to get into TVET. Regulate and quality assure the TVET outcomes. That's very important, to make sure that when the graduates graduate from our system, the students, they have the best and the highest quality education system. And then align the TVET qualifications and system capacity with labor market current future demand. This is something important. We're working on the qualification. We have the qualification system since 2011, and it's very successful. And we have aligned our qualification with the European, South African, and Australian model. Finally, is to foster a culture of organizational excellence and innovation. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the UAE map you see in front of you. Geographically, we are spread all over the UAE, so we have reach everywhere to make sure that the TVET education is provided to all the UAE citizens. On the right side, you will see all our entities. From the bottom, we have the Applied Technology High School. We have the Vocational Education Development Center. We have the Fatma College for Health Sciences, which is related to nursing, allied health, pharmaceutical, so on. And then we have the Abu Dhabi Polytechnic, which is focusing on engineering, focusing more on nuclear operation, cybersecurity, aviation, and so on. And then at the top, we have the Abu Dhabi Vocational Education Training Institutes. Those are the institutes that they deliver mainly the what we call it the qualification level 4, 5, and 6 in the qualification. And of course, they range between some mechanical, electrical, electronics, some business administration, HR, and digital, and project management, and so on. Next, please. So this is the actual TVET, actually the UAE system in total. We introduced the whole map here. And if you see on your far right side, it's the National Qualification Authority framework. So it starts from certificate 1 and it goes all the way to a doctorate. Now, the vocational, there is 2 routes. There is vocational route and there is academic route. Here, I will be focusing on the vocational route. So for example, certificate 4, if you see, it goes across to the left side. It's like a high school kind of equivalency. And then if you see a diploma on the right side, it goes across the diploma on the left side, where are the educational higher education system. So in the bottom part, you will see that it's the high school. On the left side, it's the normal public private school system, which starts from KG1 to grade 12. And the left side, it's our vocational system, where it starts from grade 6 up to grade 12. And this is more focused on vocational with the core subjects to teach them. Then the students, when they graduate from the right side, they can then get into different routes, whether they want to go to a normal university, like a scientific university, or they want to go abroad, because we do give our students in TVET the core subjects to make sure they have the math and the science and the English. So those are the top core topics that they need to cover. And then also they can get into the right side in the middle. You see that we have all our higher education entities, which I explained earlier, like the nursing and the aviation and the engineering and so on. Next slide, please. So here, the strength of the TVET system in the UAE. So we are industry focused, we are demand driven, we are learner centered, we are accredited, we have accredited qualifications. The quality inspection system is there, the qualified teachers and well-equipped facilities that we have, and of course, the effective pedagogical delivery model. So these are what strength our TVET education system in the UAE, and it has been becoming popular year after year. And of course, we are very dynamic once it comes to getting into the future and the current and what is needed from skills and education that's needed to go with the future. So if we go to the next slide, please, I will talk about the UAE future jobs. Okay, here we go. So here you see there are three sectors. We have the green jobs, which are the energy and the waste management. It's really the focus is becoming on that area now. The technology jobs, of course, the future, which is the virtual reality, the artificial intelligence, the AI, the 3D printing, robotics and automation, of course, the blockchain, data science, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity is very important, and of course, the big data and the advanced analytics. And the private sector, a lot of focus now and forward is the hospitality and logistics. So those two fields also, it's very demanding now. And the good thing about TVET education is that we are dynamic. We change our curriculum and we see what's the demand needs, because if you remember, one of our priority and strategy is all our graduates, they must have a job immediately when they finish their education in TVET. So this is why I think the power now and onward with this era, the pandemic that we're living in, TVET, it's really rising. The skills is needed now more than ever. So this is why I think it's the time where I know it's everybody's worried from pandemic, which is true. We have to be cautious. However, opportunities rise here for the TVET education system and skills development. If you go to the next slide, please. Okay, so here we have the skills development from distance. Now, what happened in the pandemic? Everything stopped. We went into lockdown. So beginning March 2020, the whole world actually, but here in the UAE also, we realized that the spread of COVID-19 virus might affect everyone. So we went into lockdown. However, calling for action was required, and the training unit at TVET here, we said we must operate. We should not lock down. Although trainers and trainees are everywhere geographically, you saw on the map, they're everywhere around the country. However, the invested technology that we have in our TVET school systems, it's really powerful. And it made it possible for the trainers to resume from distance with a swift, very quickly. While the world was going through this pandemic, live training and 14 different skills areas remained operational, and still it's going on. And our competitors and experts are learning even more on how to use the technology and to do the distance skills development. I will stop here. I have a video. If please you can turn on the video so that you can understand what I'm saying here with the training from distance. Well, thank you. This was my presentation. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Dear Ali, thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you for that you shared a great experience from UAE. We hope that you will share new technologies to the all Asian countries. And now we are continuing our session, and I would like to invite Zulia Darsong to share Malaysian experience. And we impressed that Malaysian system, skills development system supported by 10 ministries, and then you put a lot of efforts to new initiatives. And could you please share with us your experience and tell us what is skill competition for Malaysia and what kind of activities you are going to implement in 2021. Zulia, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alina. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I will give brief presentations on Malaysia human resource skills development. I will focus on skill competition systems and activities in Malaysia. Next. This slide shows TVET ecosystem in Malaysia. The industry experts on their related field contribute their expertise in the development of occupational structures and standards. The standard used as the main reference in the process of accreditation done by the Department of Skills Development Malaysia for TVET program and MQA for the academic program. The TVET training delivery in Malaysia are offered through training in the public or private institution, partnership industry and training institute, and recognition of prior achievement for workers who gain their competency through experiential learning, formal, informal, and non-formal. Certificate is issued by Department of Skills Development for TVET programs, and for the academic program is issued by the institution that accredited by Malaysian qualification agencies. Professional certification also being done in Malaysia. The professional registration for skills worker can be done through professional body such as Malaysia Board of Technologies and Board of Engineer Malaysia. For best practice, strategic alliance between professionals, body, industry, training institutions, and the government should be strengthened. Next, please. Overview of skills competition in Malaysia. In Malaysia, skill competition in the junior level offered to the lower secondary schools and are organized by Ministry of Education. Meanwhile, the TVET agency skills competition took place among the institutions in the same ministry. In Malaysia, there are 8 ministries offer TVET programs. The agency will select the best candidate to compete in the national level. Recently, there are positive initiatives shown by the state government in organizing skills competition in state or province level. For example, one of the states in Malaysia, the Sarawak skills competitions are organized in 2017 and 2019. It became eye-opener to other states, and they are asking collaboration with DSD to introduce skills competition in their state. The World Skills Malaysia and the World Skills Malaysia for Trainers are the competitions on national level organized by the Department of Skills Development of Malaysia and the Ministry of Works. Both ministries are working together. For the competitions at the World Skills ASEAN, World Skills Asia, and World Skills Competition, are coordinated also by these two ministries. Next. Skill competition in Malaysia are governed by the Malaysia Skill Competition Councils. The council consists of 32 members from the TVET agencies, higher learning institutions, industries, and industry-led body or associations. This council chaired by the Minister of Human Resources Malaysia. The council set the direction and policy on skill competition in Malaysia. The council shall form the technical committee to advise the council matter pertaining to skill competitions or any activities related. Next. In conjunction of the Year of Innovation, Showcasing and Promotion 2021, Malaysia has planned various activities throughout the year. The National Skills Competition will take place in September this year. World Skills Malaysia for Youth, Trainers and Junior Skills will be organized following the standard of operating procedures set by the Malaysia government because of the pandemic. Not forgetting the new normal, Virtual Skills Malaysia will be organized for the selected field or trade. It will take place on June this year for 6 trades related to information technology. The promotion activity was planned throughout the year, focusing on promotion through social media. Activities on collaboration with industries and higher education institutions will be enhanced and strengthened. Research activities will be continued. The topic chosen for this year is the study on the effect of skill competition to industry and training institution. For capacity building, we will organize webinar, workshop, and will participate program online organized by the international associations or body. For future skills program, Malaysia will focus on Industry Relation 4.0, and we will plan to strengthen the involvement or participation from the higher learning institutions, because in this field, we need more, the trade needs high level thinking. For continuous improvement, we have planned to strengthen our team of experts by introducing the mentor and mentee program. And for the technical observer agency, we will offer the training skill institution for the expert to participate with us, observe, and have experience in the marking process, especially when we conduct the national competition. Next. Why skill competitions important? The skills competition give impacts to the industry, to the TVET institutions, and to the competitors. The industry, they have awareness of latest technologies and development. They have new ideas, information, and skills in their skills they should share with the institutions. And the industry should work hand with the TVET institution for the industrial collaboration and raising industry profiles and standards. For the TVET institutions, from the skills competitions, it reflects their standard of teaching, and learning. From skills competition too, they should give awareness for them of the latest technologies and development. The skills competition also give impact in the reputation of the publicity and prestige for their institution and promotion for their institutions. For competitors, of course, it will develop their technical skills and social skills. The comprehensive training, they can get knowledge from the industry expert and being introduced for the latest equipment that used in the industry. They will also have excellent feature in their professions. One of the effective strategy for strengthening cooperation among TVET providers to enhance quality and delivery. The skills competition also cultivate mutually beneficial partnership between private entities and TVET institution and reshaping perception and understanding of society towards the TVET and a promotion TVET for the student, and perhaps the student will choose TVET as their first choice. Next slide, please. To conclude, skill competition is not only a platform to find the gold standard of skill excellence among young people, it is also an endeavor to strengthen unity and strategic collaboration among various stakeholders to continue efforts in developing human resource skills development. So let us start building the unity and togetherness through skills competitions at the national level, regional, Asia levels, and world. With that, thank you. Back to you, Alina.
Zulia, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing expression experience from Malaysia. And to continue our session, I would like to invite Robert Urazov to share Russian key findings for skills development.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to see you here during this session, but it was very nice when we will meet together in Sakhalin Island. You know that we have developed this region in Russia because it is one of our gate to Asia as well, and one of the most dynamic region in Russian Federation. Let me speak about some initiatives which we are developed from the very beginning of World Skills Russia. Most of them were presented during the World Skills Kazan 2019 competition, but I want to share more information. First, our strategic initiative is the future skills. This is a very simple idea to learn not for a past or existing economy, but for new technologies and for new skill. You know that we are started from the research which based on opinion of all countries, of all member countries from World Skills International, and now we have developed these skills during our skills competition and putting into the short-term courses for our colleges, universities, and in our educational providers. Next one is the junior skills. Is this a very simple idea that the skill is not only for adults, it's for youngsters too, and especially for children, for scholars. And the idea is to run competition with the scholars and give them not real poor skill, but give them a professional try skill, which helps them to make a lot of professional mistakes before when they start their professional career. Idea is not to give the profession, but to help realize our youngsters ideas about their future career. This is the main idea as well. Digital skills I think there are no need additional explanation. The most growing sector of economy for world economy is the digitalization, and we are like a world skills movement provides not only competition but the courses which helps to learn the digitalization skills, programming skills for everybody. What thing it was most important in the digital skill? We look that we see that the structure in the IT sectors is very changing. Before in near 20 years ago, 10 years ago, digital sector, IT sector was about developers who create the new software. But now is the sector which demands more and more for professionals which not develop the software, but helps to install this software with software solution inside the business. This is a main problem. We look for digital skills like movement which helps to create digital workers. Next one is one of our flagman fleet project is the World Skills. Stop, Alina. Please come back. Please come back. Okay, World Skills Russia Academy. This is our network academy. This is not university. This is not college. This is not MOOC. This is a network academy which find in Russia for best TVET skills centers and provide through them the best courses which based on our national team technologies. Idea is quite simple. We like a Russian need not only 100 of champions. We need the millions of champions. We believe that everybody, any citizen in any citizen of Russia is talented, and our idea to help to realize their talent and help to develop this skilled talent for everybody. For example, about some numbers, last year it was a very big program which requalify our adult population in Russia. It was a quarter of millions of students which passed through this academy. And for like a result, look for our unemployment rate. When our economy was in lockdown, it was huge numbers. It was near the 10%. Now we have a near the 5%. Well, one of the key governmental idea was to help our citizens very fast requalify. And we started a program based on 3,000 of TVET centers and the needs of 200 universities, and pass through this program needs a quarter of million of Russian citizens, and they have a new profession, upgrade their skill, and they found new jobs and started new businesses. World Skills High Tech is a competition for corporation. It's very simple. In classical world skills, we compete the students. The idea is to compete with the companies. Our Russian companies very interested in this competition because it's actually a very cheap tool which helps to touch the best practices in Russia. And when you compete with foreigners, you may touch the international practices. Skills passport, this is very important. We are created in Russia and agreed with a few countries to use the results of professional exams based on world skill standards, like a document which shows your skills. Actually, this is a universal tool which will help, for example, for initiative which announced by ILO is one standard for all. We believe that we may use this technology very fast and very simple. This is a digital information about your real skills. Skills Camp is based on the idea to share practices for countries to train together the teams, and skills for adults, and the green skills is like disruptor for a new economy. We believe that the green skills will start fast, very grow, and need a few years. And with our Sakhalin partners, we will develop this type of skills. In Russia, the Sakhalin Island is a sandbox for creating carbon footprint skills and start to develop the Kyoto Protocol. Next slide, please. Some words about the future skills. Everybody who visited Kazan 2019 saw the future skills areas project like a smart city. Our idea is to show how the new skills may be created just now. 2 years ago, it was very crazy to run for TVET centers and colleges machine learning skill, for example. But now during last year, we realized that it was very important. We give the machine learning technologies for thousands of Russian citizens, and we found new jobs and started new businesses. It's a very short way from the creating skills, sharing skills, and the start in economical career development and the start in new workplaces. For us, it was very important that this is not only Russian initiative. So it was 16 countries which involved and they take commitments inside this project. For last year, you know that our borders are closed, and we run the remote future skills camp with 19 countries, 19 skills and 33 countries which take a part in this type of competition. Of course, we developed the special software and special solution like simulators which helps to run competition. And if you can run competition, you may use the same technology for distant learning and the distant skills development. For example, just imagine you have a master in Japan and a student, for example, in New Zealand, and this is a welding learning process. Past in 2019, it was like an unbelievable thing, like some from the fantastic. But now in 2020, this idea becomes a real true. And for example, I saw the presentation of countries, and I saw that the idea of distant learning in practical skills become more and more popular. It's very important, and I think this is one of the key technologies which will be used for countries to restart their economies after the pandemic lockdown. Please, next slide. And the last one, skills passports for migrants. Russian Federation is in the 4th place in the world for migrants for working migrants in the country. And for us, it's very important is not only to invite migrants. I have the more important task is to train and assess the migrants. We have a very good project with Uzbekistan, which is a country in the central part of Asia. We learn Uzbekistan citizens. We teach Uzbekistan citizens in Uzbekistan, in Russian Federation, assess their skills and they give the skills passports. Why we do it? Because our companies need more workforce, and we believe to the trust to skills passport issued by World Skills Russia, and hire with migrants with any in our professional tests before the hiring. Thanks for attention. We are ready to grow together. Thank you.
Robert, thank you very much for joining this discussion today. And World Skills Russia is open to share experience and open for collaboration projects. And I think that today we have got information that joint partnership and cooperation is all important for us, and we can grow all together. And now to finalize session, I would like to share with you key messages from our speakers today. So we got holistic pictures with key findings, and we can see that large scales of transition in education in a labor market is happening now, and that we should create full cycle learning ecosystem to support everyone in skilling and upskilling for the brighter future. As well, we can see that digital and green skill becoming more critical skills, and that skilled talents are becoming key value drivers for decades. So I think that it will help us to make all the best to keep Asia growing. And now I would like to invite all speakers for the group picture, please. I will go with 1, 2, 3, and then you will say skills and show high five. So please,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, skills.
Skill.
Skills. Okay, thank you very much. It was very productive discussion today. Thank you that you find time to join us. And I hope that all together we will implement all the recommendations which we got today from all the participants. Thank you a lot. And also I would like to thank everyone who joined us in a live broadcasting. It's very great that the topic of skill development in Asia is important for you. And see you soon at some other events. Thank you, bye-bye, and session is closed for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.